I mean, yeah, because you have to go back to military. Like 4 years. Do you need
Okay, so I got everybody on mute right now. If anybody needs to raise their hand or wants to take themselves off mute, please ask questions. That is one way that we will learn throughout all these trainings, is that if you ask questions. If you don't understand something, raise your hand, okay? Try and keep it topic-based, okay? So don't go and ask a question about last week's meeting or something like that. We can maybe open a few minutes for that at the end of the training. But try and stay topic-focused, but please make sure that you ask questions. That is the only way we're gonna all grow, because remember, my level of this particular training will be different than all of yours and vice versa. So just make sure that we're good to go. Also, if you don't see what I am talking about, please raise your hand, because that means either we've lost connection or I'm not recording my screen. If everybody remembers, we did a training last week and I was actually computing everything, but I hadn't turned a setting on to allow my screen to be recorded. So other than that, we're going to jump right into this. So we are going into Zapier today. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let me close this down. Put this down into. All right. So just going to pin this real quick if you don't mind. Okay, so here we are in Zapier. So what is Zapier? Zapier is, as in the title of this training, duct tape for the internet. So think of it in the fashion that we are trying to figure out how to get one thing to talk to another, or to simplify our life with all the mobile apps that we have going out there. Think of it like this: real estate has so many things going on nowadays with technology that we have to kind of pull it all together into one simple space. And the way that we have to do that is to find something that connects it. So in this case, we use Zapier. Zapier is the duct tape for the internet. Now, what does it do? It puts a lot of apps together and allows them to work cohesively. So what are apps and what are zaps and so on and so forth? So an app is what the program is out there in the internet. So I'm going to look at this and just show you a few of the apps that they kind of talk about. So give a case. We have what is currently labeled as the most popular app. So we have Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a Excel version through Google. All right, Google is a very powerful tool to have already. If you have a Gmail account, you have access to Google Sheets. If you have a Gmail account, you have access to Google Calendar, Google Drive, and so on and so forth. And a lot of those are mentioned throughout this training. You have Gmail, okay? Slack, probably most of you are not using, but it's really powerful. You have Google Calendar, MailChimp, Trello, Facebook lead ads. Now, if you'll notice, this is a premium version. Now, the best part about Zapier is, for the most part, it is free. Okay, they're only going to charge you if you're going to add in a few additional premium state ads, or premium state apps. If you'll notice right here, there's a premium function and you can look through all those. So you may decide to pay for it. I think I pay like $49 a month, and that gets me all my premium status, and that's more than enough. There's also upcoming. So the beautiful thing about Zapier is it's constantly growing. And some of the cool upcoming things, if you'll notice, there are tons of mobile apps out there. Some of these you'll know, some of them you won't know, but like they have a Etsy upcoming app, right? Little things like that, total control with all kinds of stuff. For instance, they're working on one right now for the iPhone. So there will be functions that you can do on your iPhone that will now push other things to happen, okay? So very powerful stuff. And then you have what is classified as early access, so some programs have that as well. But once again, we're going to kind of just focus on a few real estate-based apps. I like using Zapier as kind of a to see what's happening in the marketplace, to see what I can use. And what I often do is just take the names of things that I don't know, like ClickFunnels, for instance. ClickFunnels are very powerful things. They're landing pages that kind of squeeze your clients to sign up for, to become a lead. Well, you can find out a lot of information, one, by clicking the link that talks about ClickFunnels, but then go to the website and find out what they do. Okay, and it will basically go through at the bottom of each of these apps. When you click through, it will tell you what they, a few of the pre-built zaps, if you will, but it'll also tell you the integration levels. Okay, so it's going to tell you, here are some of the creative ways to use Zapier, and at the bottom it has what's called triggers, actions, and searches. Okay, now triggers, actions, and searches. So searches, it can find a link in there. Actions, it can add an email to a list, it can add a tag to a list, and it'll have all these things. Let's go to one that more people would probably use. I'm gonna click on just Gmail here, okay? So if I go down to the bottom of the Gmail, it's gonna tell me what the triggers are, what the actions are, and what the searches are, okay? So new attachment. So in this case, this triggers whenever you receive a new attachment in an email, okay? So that will be the trigger. So if you get something in your email that has an attachment, that will be what's called a trigger. Now, you have other triggers like new email, new starred email, new labeled email, new thread, new email matching search. This is one that's probably going to be used the most, and new labeled email, okay? So in your Gmail app, or when you're logging into Gmail, these things all take place. They can be triggers to make other things happen. Now, that's the key. It's a trigger and an action. The actions that Gmail has is to create a draft, add a label to an email, remove a label from an email, reply to an email, and create a label and send an email. Okay, so it can do all these things in automation for you. So basically, if one thing happens in another app or in Gmail itself, then it can push an action out to the marketplace. Okay, so think of it very simply as triggers, actions, and then it has searches. Now, the reason it has searches is because sometimes you just need to find something to start pushing everything to the next step. So in this case, triggers, actions, and searches. Okay, now, what does that all mean to you? Let's go ahead and take a look at some actual zaps. So I'm going to log in and I'm going to go to my homepage. Okay, now, once again, we were talking about apps. Now, once you do put something together, it becomes a zap, right? So a zap is basically one function telling another function to do something. Now, I'm going to show you one basic one so you can kind of see what's happening, okay? So for instance, when we have sales signs go up or send out that email to everybody else, I'm going to show you that one. So this can be the classified. So some things are instant. Some things are based on, it checks it every 5 minutes. Some things are based on checks only when you tell it to check, okay? So in this case, this particular zap is a instant zap. Now what this is looking at, I'm gonna go ahead and edit this so you guys can see it. So I've created an action. When this happens, this is an action. This is using Google Sheets, okay? A new or updated spreadsheet row in Google Sheets. So when the girls fill out or anybody fills out that form for a new sign up, that form automatically drops into a spreadsheet, okay? That's through Google. Once that happens, an email happens, okay? Now, an email will send out to said parties, and I'll show you the details in a second. Now, when that happens, it's going to look up the sheet rows in Google Shells, and it's going to update the sheets, okay? So let's open this up a little bit. All right. So I would choose the app and event. In this case, it's going to be Google Sheets. I'm going to create a trigger when a new spreadsheet happens. I need to choose an account, so you have to have an account. This is our account. Customize sheet, spreadsheet row. I'm going to look in this spreadsheet, okay? So for sale up or down, 11/4/13. I'm going to look at the worksheet form responses, and I'm going to look at any trigger. So if any column gets something new, it's going to trigger this off. I could adjust this to say only specific columns, for instance, form status, timeshare, and so on and so forth. But you can set that up to be whatever you decide to do, okay? Now, once that happens, here's what's going to happen next. So that is a action. Now this is going, or excuse me, that is a trigger. This is an action. So in the action, it's going to be sending out an email. So I'm going to select my Gmail account, and it's going to send an email. So this is the action event. It's going to send an email out, okay? Once it sends that email out, I need to tell it what account to use, so it's using my email. The customize email, so it's going to create this email for me, and it uses mail merge fields from that spreadsheet, which was the trigger, okay? So it's going to send an email to both signs at elpasocentury21.com, as well as the agent email form that came in. So in this case, Richard at elpasocentury21 populated. Then I can add in a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy. I want to tell it what email address I want to send it from, and then I'm going to say it from. So I'm typing out the from name, and it'd be the detail, okay, and the subject line. I'm also going to have all the body functions, okay? So here this has the timestamp, the up, down, the property address, the city zip, so on and so forth. I've mail merged all the data that came in on the trigger, and now I'm sending it out in the action. Everybody understand that? Yeah? Questions? Unmute, anybody? No? Okay, so now we've created the scene of Zap, right? That makes something happen by having something else happen. So a trigger creating an action, okay? And that's great, but what does that mean for you in real estate? I've just shown you where if a person fills out a form, for instance, the sign up form, they will get an email sent out to whatever parties we designate, okay? And those could be specific or they could be form driven, okay? So in this case, let's say you created a landing page, okay? Now, that landing page could be done through Google, it could be done through, there's a variety of different sites that are out there. It could just be done through Google Sheets, okay? So, for instance, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's build out a form to help drive leads, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that we could work around this, but let's just say I go to sheets.google.com. And I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to actually go to forms.google.com. Now, the reason I'm going to forms is that forms actually create the sheet, okay? Got to spell right. So when you go to Google Forms are very simply just what they say they are. They are a Google form. They are also hosted on a website. So for instance, you put something out onto Facebook and you say, hey, sign up here for me to do whatever, send you out a free list of houses, or to send you a customized search. So if everybody remembers last class, I taught you how you can create an IDX search for your clients. Well, you could now send that to them, but you need to grab some information from them first, okay? So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna create a blank form, okay? And remember, when you have this training, just put it to the side and work through this one step at a time. So, so we're gonna call this sign up for home search, right? So the beautiful part about this is everything that I'm going to use in here is going to be a free service, okay? So there's nothing that has to be paid for this. So you don't have to pay for a third party or anything like that. This is kind of a custom built out for you. Now, you can dress this form up however you want. You can add pictures on the back. You can do all that, right? But in this case, we're just going to speed through this. So my first question is going to be your name. Okay, I'm going to change this to a short answer. Okay, I'm going to add in another question. Okay, this is going to be email. Change this to short answer as well. I'm going to add in a phone number. Short answer as well. In this case, I'm just going to use those 3 tags because you could build this out to be whatever you wanted it to be, but these are the ones I'm going to show you as we go through this process, okay? Because we only have so many minutes to do this. All right, so this form is now live, okay? So in this form, it's going to create all the responses that will go to a spreadsheet. Now, this is the key to the form. If you're building it out like this, you're going to click on this little button here that says create spreadsheet. That's the key to this particular type of form. Now, obviously you can create this in any way you want, but I'm going to make this as demo form. Okay. I'm going to create that sheet. That's going to automatically go into your Google Sheets. Okay, so I have a spreadsheet. Okay, and then on top of that, I have a form. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, I'm going to name my form as sign up for home search. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to preview this form real quick, and I'm going to type in some data. So I'm going to type in, all right, I'm going to hold off on that for 2 seconds while I build out my actual Zap. So over here, I'm going to create a new Zap. So I'm going to go to make a Zap, and I'm going to create a Google Sheet Zap. I'm going to select new spreadsheet row. So anytime a new spreadsheet row comes in, it's going to trigger this event. So I'm going to select new spreadsheet row. Press in. I'm going to select my spreadsheet. I've already linked to my account, but I'm going to collect it. Okay, now I'm going to look for my spreadsheet. It's knocking on Google Sheets door, and guess what? The first form that pops up is the one that I just made, called demo form. Okay. Now I'm going to select the worksheet. Now the worksheet, for those of you who don't know, is this one right here. It says form responses 1. Okay, if I had another worksheet, then it would be at the bottom. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to my Zap, and I'm going to select that I want to select form responses. Okay. So press next. Now here is the one part that this is why I could skip this test. I'm gonna put a test form in here so I can pull in actual data when I pull the information in. So I'm gonna run this real quick just so I have demo data. So I'm gonna do test data test. And 915751150. Okay, press submit. Okay, so that has happened. I've created that demo form. Okay, so I go back to my thing and I press test and review. Okay, or I can say test and continue. We're going to do either or, and it pulls in. Guess what? All my data, right? So it pulled in my data that I just put in. Now, what do we want to do with that? We could create a Google Calendar event for it. We could create a Gmail account for it. We could create a Google contact. This is really powerful because let's say that contact comes in. I don't want to have to manually enter it into my Google contact. So I could create a Google contact from that person. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and send them an email. Okay, just to show where we're going with this. But like I said, you can build out multiple of these things. So you could add them as a Google contact, and then you could send them an email. You could do all those things above. So you could do a lot of different versions. In this case, I'm just going to send them an email. I'm going to select to send email. Press continue. And now I need to select my account. Continue. I'm going to send this email to the client that says, hey, thank you for signing up for this free search that I just did, right? So I select my data by just pressing this little insert a field. And if you'll notice, guess what? Test data, email, phone number, right? Pretty easy. So I'm going to select to send this email to myself in this case, but it would have the client's information if that was different, okay? I could carbon copy in somebody else. So I'm going to throw in Nick into this email. I just typed out the wrong email. All right. And then I could add a BCC and so on and so forth. Who do I want this to be from? I'm going to make this be from me. From name, I can type it out. Okay. Who do I want them to reply to? If you'll notice, these fields are optional. You don't have to fill these out. These are things that pop up when people see it in their email box. So it can be beneficial to add in good data here. But I'm not going to fill that one out. Subject, free MLS search. Okay. Plain type or body type, I can make that HTML base or plain. In this case, I'm just going to make it plain. And I am going to simply say, thanks for filling out our form. Here is your custom MLS search. Okay, now real quick, I'm going to show you this. How do I get that MLS search? Once again, you go to MLS. Okay, so go to MLS real quick. Grab that IDX search. So you guys that skipped out on training last week are getting one quick access to it. All right, so I go into my Flex. From my Flex, I jump up here to menu and I go down to the bottom and it says IDX Manager. Opens up a page, go down to the bottom, retrieve IDX link. I just want a quick search for residential, submit, and I grab this link right here and I run back to Zapier and type that in right there. Okay, so now you could customize that link to make it a little prettier, but in this case, that's all I'm doing. Okay, I want to label this email as whatever I want to put it. If I have labels already built in, I'm not going to do that in this case. I could add attachments, so I could add like my contact record, or I could add you know, a picture, or I could add whatever to this attachment, and I would just simply attach the document here. Press continue, and now I have a test and continue functionality. Okay, and it goes through what fields I filled out, which ones I didn't fill out. I could test and review or test and continue. I'm going to press test and continue. And now I have a Zap ready to go. Okay, that took me 5 or 6 minutes. And now, if you don't have a secondary site, oh, somebody's got a question. Hold on. Farm girl, I think that's Norma. Will it add a signature if you have one in Gmail? Yes, it will. It is functioning just like a normal Gmail. So if you have a Gmail built into Gmail, it will automatically send out that signature. Now, there is one caveat to that. You do need to make it not a plain email. You need to make it a HTML email. Okay, and if everybody does not remember where that was, if you go back to setup up here, you would go into customize email, scroll down to the bottom, and instead of sending it out as a plain, you would send it out as an HTML. So in this case, it would send out that email as a function. So if anybody would like to try that out, hold on 2 seconds. I'm going to press and continue and save this real quick, just so I can show you on top of that. So I've done this action. I could actually add another action on here. So if I press this little plus button, let's say that I want to, okay, how about this? Let's say that I want to text myself when a lead comes in, okay? So I'm gonna type in text. And if you'll notice, there's a bunch of different texting methods, okay? But I'm going to use Zapier SMS. So it's called SMS by Zapier. So this is to send to one phone number, which is usually your own, the information that you want to have. So I'm going to click on SMS by Zapier. Okay. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want to get a text message when a new lead comes in. Okay. So I'm going to press continue. And now I'm going to use this SMS account. Once you build this out, it will ask you to create these accounts. Well, you only have to do that once. I'm going to press continue, and I'm going to say from, and it's going to tell you which number you want to send it from, or you can send it from random. That way you just can identify this number as a lead number, okay? So I'm going to use one specific number. I'm going to use this number right here, and I'm going to say, hey, Brian, you got a new lead, okay? And I can input that data. Here is their contact info, right? Click on this. I go to spreadsheet row and I type in name, and then I put a little space, and I put in name, email, and then I put in phone number. Okay. I can also throw in a timestamp in there. If you'll notice at the bottom, it also timestamps it. Okay. So I could put timestamp, I could put road ID, and any of those items. Okay. But done. Okay. So I've built out in a total of about 7 to 8 minutes a fully functional, free functionality to tell me when I get a new lead and to send an email to that lead with something without me having to touch anything going forward. Okay, so we're going to test this out. So I'm going to turn it on, and hopefully this works out great. If somebody would do me a favor, Norma, I'm looking your way. I'm going to share this out. So I'm going to copy. No. Does anybody remember how to share? How to form?
I think it's the share.
All right,
On the form.
Norma, you ready? No. Where's my share button? Oh, I'm going to send this with the link. All right, Norma, you ready for to click this link?
Yes.
Anybody can click it. If y'all want to click it, you can click it as well. I got 10 minutes left, so we're going to hustle on this, guys.
It says resource unavailable.
Resource unavailable when you click that.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have some settings here off. Oh, restrict to organization. Sorry. Refresh.
Okay.
All right. So real quick, we got 10 minutes left. So I'm going to go to my Gmail real quick just so I can see what's transpiring here. Okay. All right. If you'll notice, that email that I sent out a second ago is tested out right here, but I'm going to go to my sent email and just watch this. Okay. If you'll notice, that was that one that sent out. Norma, tell me when you send it.
I did.
All right. Let's refresh this page. And ta-da! Let's see, hold on. Norma, you get your email yet?
Not yet. Let me refresh.
Oh, you know what? It just told me that I got a new lead on my, it just texted me that I got a new lead. Okay. And we're going to see if that sent that email. And it hasn't sent out yet. So we're going to, you know what? I just realized what I did. Let's see. No email yet, Norma?
No.
All right. Well, it's supposed to work. I don't know if maybe I turned off something, but in an effort to make sure, I just want to show you guys that on my phone, I did already get a notification that I got a new lead. Okay. So I got a new lead and it tells me the information about that lead. It builds it out really simply. Let me just check this. Normally you filled it out. So it should be an instantaneous, but let's just run it just in case. So, oh, I just got it. Norma, now you should have got it. I just got Norma's information here.
Okay.
Norma, did you get the email?
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
I got it.
And Norma, if you click that link, what happens? So here's that where that email got sent out for Norma. And then if I click that link, Norma now can search on my MLS. I'll get the lead, I'll retain the lead, and everything is nice and smooth. And then on top of that, I also received a basis. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me. So on my phone.
So just on my end, Brian, it took me straight to the residential search.
Correct.
Page.
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't restrict them at all. It doesn't restrict the person at all. It takes you straight into what you need. So
Right.
On our point, this gets them the quickest access and you've done it all in, like I said, you set this up once and you forget it. You can lay it out. You can put that form out there. I could post that anywhere I want it. Okay. Guys, there's a few other items of value that we could go over, but honestly, a lot of this comes down to you getting in here and playing, okay, and finding things that you want to use. Keep in mind that this is not just real estate based. This is everything. So you could come up with, I think, let's see. So there's some, I think like if my, let's see if it's on here. There is Twitter feed. So if you put something on Facebook, you can push it over to Twitter. If you get, so if you're using a free Gmail account and you only have so much storage, you can actually send all your attachments to Google Drive, which would help out too. You could just pay a small portion to Google Drive. YouTube, you could take YouTube videos and share those out. You could throw stuff onto YouTube. Evernote is really powerful. Evernote is a great note resource. So you could send notes through Gmail to Evernote. Pinterest, Google Tasks, QuickBooks even has some functionality as well. LinkedIn, Google Docs. So before we guys said we're down to 5 minutes, guys, what other questions do you have? Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, Alma raised her hand. Alma, what's up? Did you mean to raise your hand, Alma? Doesn't sound like Alma meant to. I'm going to lower her hand. All right. So, sorry about that, Norma. I saw you raise your hand.
Hey, Brian.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
So we could set it like once we get a lead, then we can also set them up on, what is it, the MailChimp?
Correct. MailChimp is a free service. So we showed in the last training how to do a pull all that stuff out of MLS contact-wise. But as far as this goes, yes, you could send it via MailChimp. You could send out a mass email via MailChimp. You could have a campaign built out in MailChimp and send it out that way. You could also do BombBomb if you wanted to send videos. You could, the items are endless, to be perfectly honest. I mean, they really are. I've yet to find something that if I thought about it, it was already there, or they're in the works to make it. And this also connects with a lot of CRMs or Zoho. Microsoft Outlook is in here too, so not just Gmail. Calendly is in here. I've talked about Calendly in the past. So there is a lot of resource in here. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff as far as home stuff too. I mean, there's other crazy. I mean, there's so many other. And if you notice, they're all categorized: accounting, ads and analytics, Amazon Web Services, bookmarks, calendar items, call tracking, contacts, customer appreciation, databases, dashboards. You name it, it's in here. So, questions? Anybody else? Anybody else want to raise their hand? Ask that question, guys. Watch through this video, just build out a simple form just like I had you do today, and it's going to make you start thinking, what else could I be doing with all of this, okay? So, I mean, there is really a chance that we can put this into function and build our business without spending any money. And remember, I pay for money. Carolina had no questions right now, maybe questions later. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free at your leisure whenever you're ready, okay? We'll put this onto the YouTube page, so it is Century 21 Training Group. I will share that back out. If you want, just walk through one step, one zap. Remember, it's all free unless you want to take one of those premium services. So if there are no more questions, we are 2 minutes out from this being the end. So appreciate it. Hope everybody had got enough data out of this. And remember, there's a lot of other things that could go in, and maybe we'll retrace back to this later on. But I just wanted to show building out a quick zap that took us less than 10 minutes can now save your client a lot of information. And it can also send you contact information for that client so you can contact them right away. There's also things like it will automatically start to dial the client and then call you. What my suggestion is just get into those zaps. You can also just type in real estate for Zapier or Zapier for real estate into Google, and the possibilities are endless, and they're coming up with new things every single day. Less than a minute. Have a great day. See you guys.